Hi, it's Kip and Bates here in video 3 of what is becoming a series of blindingly obvious things about play to earn that are often overlooked. And in today's video I wanted to talk about how play to earn games can get money to flow into the system. And the answer to that is very simple. Look at conventional games. There are a number of techniques that game companies use in order to ensure that they make a profit, and those are the techniques that equally apply to pay to earn games, because ultimately at the base of it all is a game. And if you look at the history of games, there are some tried and tested techniques. In the old days it was sell copies. Then you have in-game items. So if you have a free-to-play game, you sell stuff within the game to the players and you design the game so that it's desirable for them to buy those things. And then the third option is to get some kind of advertising or sponsorship or brand tie-in or something like that, which can bring real money into the game that you can then use to develop it and that you can distribute to the players as a reward for participating. So those are the three main ones I can think of. There are a whole bunch of others I'm sure out there, and there are all sorts of clever variants on those basic approaches to having your game make money. And this leads me on to the point, which is, if you're designing a play to earn game, one of the first questions you have to ask yourself is, if I didn't have a token economy and a token tacked onto this, would this still be viable? And unfortunately for most play to earn games, the answer is probably no. They're using the play to earn tag as a way to build up a user base at quite a high non-sustainable cost. When you look at play to earn games, you do, however, get a number of options that conventional games don't have in the mechanics that you use to apply one of those three revenue raising techniques that I mentioned. So if you look at selling copies of the game, i.e. selling a license, for example, then you can represent that license with an NFT. This has some advantages in that players will be aware that when they get bored of the game, they can sell on the NFT to somebody else. So that's a selling point. On the other hand, it has a downside, which is that you're losing revenue. Just as back in the early 90s when we used to buy game cartridges for things like the Sega Mega Drive, and then when we got fed up with the game, you'd go and sell it to a friend, or you can just give it to a friend if you were generous, or take it to a second-hand store who would then sell it on, and you'd make some of the money that you'd spent on. Typically, of course, you don't end up selling on your game cartridge for more than you paid for it. This is something where NFTs have a thing going for them that games cartridges didn't, which is that some people, for some reason, see them as investments. And so your early players may be able to sell on their NFTs at a profit, which adds to the idea that if you join in with this game, you may actually come out of it richer than you went in. So the second one, buying things in the game, well, again, you can sell the game items as NFTs, but your problem is going to be that people are going to have a kind of subconscious, if not conscious, expectation that those items are going to be resellable at a profit. And if there's disappointment because they find that they can't, then they're going to give up and you'll lose your user base again. And then finally, the advertising approach. That to me at the moment seems probably the most viable, given where we are at our understanding of play to earn tokenomics. And that is, can you actually build a partnership with a company that requires advertising or brand promotion? Or are you just going to do some kind of simple pop-up banners and sell advertising space on somewhere like Google in order to be able to bring money into the game? So three choices. I'm sure there are more, and those of you who've spent more time working in the games industry can probably post list a slew of them in the comments below. Feel free to do so. That way I don't have to go and do further research into this. But here we are again, a blatantly obvious thing about play to earn games, which is they need to make money in the same way that conventional games do, and the obvious approach is to make that money the way that conventional games do. And therefore, if you're launching a play to earn game, make sure you are completely clued up on how games currently make money. Hope you found that interesting. See you in the next video soon. Bye for now.